Good day. My name is George Ascient. Good to be with you today. I told you that we're going to be starting 30 days of 30 videos that will help you to become a better communicator, a better speaker, how you can put your thoughts together and deliver effective presentations. Whatever the presentation may be, we're going to learn how to go about it. Today, we will talk about the patterns of public speaking. Certain patterns you must pay attention to. And truly, there's no success without pattern. The secret of anybody's future is in his routine. The secret of any failure is in their routine. So if you're going to succeed as a speaker, as an entrepreneur, whoever it is that you are, then you must be careful about patterns. Patterns are things that we do repeatedly. Patterns are rituals, things that we do consistently, things that we do habitually, things that we do perpetually. Any results that you get, any outcome that you get is usually as a result of patterns. So there's something called pattern intelligence. What it simply means is that people are not aware, they're not aware of how to leverage on patterns, how to use patterns for their own advantage. And even in public speaking, there is the need for you to become interested in patterns, because when you become interested in patterns, you're able to not just break limiting patterns, but also literally create patterns and utilize patterns. Let's start by understanding a few things. That success can be copied. You can copy success. It is one of the things I encourage you to do is to look out for public speakers, great leaders, great dreamers, great entrepreneurs, great communicators that speak well and copy them. Watch their videos, listen to their podcasts, go to their YouTube channels, observe them, see how they start their presentation, see how they transition, see how they organize the body of the presentation, see how they pause, hear their tonality, pay attention to their gap fillers, see how they exit, see how they close. By doing that, you improve greatly. When you watch people carefully, you become better. As an untrained speaker, what you do basically is you just listen for entertainment or listen to enjoy the presentation. However, if you're a trained speaker, and I'm hoping that you're watching this become a trained speaker, when you watch public speakers this time, you're watching to, distill ideas, to extract concepts, to model. You listen and you watch carefully. There are certain mistakes that a lot of people make when they speak. Maybe when you go to church on Sunday, you notice it. And we have a class where we teach on public speaking mistakes. When you begin to observe those mistakes, you realize, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. You observe people as they speak and you observe their mistakes. And there are certain things that people do that, get them excellent results when they're working with people. By the time you start watching, you get, okay, this is what this man said, this is how he said it, this is how he used his body language, and he got the results he got. Well, public speakers, comedians are fantastic public speakers. And I tell my students, study comedians. Take your time to study comedians. Not just to laugh, but see how they open. Every comedian or stand-up comedian must have a great opening. Look at how they tell their story. They tell their stories very well. They use dialogue. Listen to how they use their dialogue. Listen to how they inspire your imagination. Listen to how they put in their punchline. All right? See how they transition from one story to another story. It's not every time that a joke that the comedian is telling gets a home run or hits the point. There are times when he has to move on quickly to another point. So your goal is to observe that. And obviously at the end, see how they close. Every comedian, every stand-up comic has a close, and that close has to be exciting. So one of the things you want to do, yes, learning public speaking. And by the way, comedians and public speakers is that you want to start observing how they enter and how they close, how they transition, how they tell their stories. That's how to study patterns. You study patterns by, emulating. I was teaching in class earlier today, and I told them, I said that become a student of life. Don't just be a follower. Don't just be among the wandering generality, among the masses. Become a student of life. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you should study life, and beyond studying life, you should study people, carefully study people, because people are interesting lots, cultures, individuals, and you want to also study power, the way people engage, the politicings that people do when they speak or when they interact with other human beings, when they're in communities, how they influence, how they are influenced, how they persuade, how they are persuaded, how they position themselves to be needy or how they are needed. The politics of life, you want to study it. And then, of course, you want to study patterns. And in every aspect of your life, if anybody has done anything successful, it means that you too can do it. But for you to do it, you have to be open to learning. You want to study their patterns very carefully. And if you study patterns and model it, copy it, you're going to replicate the same result. You're going to get the same results that others are getting. So the fastest way to compress decades into days is to copy. So when we're in school, we're told not to copy. Don't copy your neighbor. Don't copy your friends. I tell you, in the school of life, copy. Look out for somebody who has been getting results. And don't just follow the person, study the person. Don't just be a follower, be a student. Study the person, study his thinking pattern, study and try to copy, to model, to do the same thing, the same manner the person is doing it. And you'll be sure that you replicate the results. By copying, you compress decades into days. You cut short your learning process. And you can at least cut across everything in life, whether it is business, whether it's internet business, whether it is multi-level marketing, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, just become a very, very good copycat and see how you make progress in moving forward in your life, including public speaking. Look up for speakers you like and just copy them. All right, that. So pattern is power. And there are three things you do with patterns. Number one, you break limiting patterns. That's what you must learn to do. There are lots of things right now in your life that is limiting you. You may not be aware of them. And I tell people the first way to personal breakthrough is personal awareness. When you are aware that, look, guys, I have these limits. They could be mental limits. They could be physiological limits. They could be mindsets. They could be behavioral. They could be social. They could be economical. They could be, the most important thing is identify the limits of your life, the limiting patterns, things that repeatedly happen. Become sensitive. And one of the ways to do that is to go back into history, the history of your life, and start checking out what has been happening repeatedly in my own life. As much as I believe that we are products of our genealogy, I also believe that we're products of our environments. So go back and check your genes, check your family members, check history of your dad, history of your mom, history of your siblings, your grandparents, and see those things that they did repeatedly. See those occurrences, those circumstances that happen in their life. Be careful to notice it. If they are good, find a way to replicate it. If they are bad, find a way to break them. Break them. Go back in history. If you have the opportunity to lead in an organization, the first thing is to study the pattern. And the best way is to go back to history. Check what has been happening. Because history repeats itself. And the things that people did in history is what has brought them to where they are today. To become a student of history, what we call patterns is what we call curses and what we call blessings. So spiritual people will say, oh, that's a curse, something that's repeated. But you see, there is, for every effect, there is a cause. There's a reason for it. And being a student of life and patterns is that you're not just aware of the effect, which is the result or the outcome. You're studying the cause. What is causing this? Why am I having this happening in my life? Why am I not getting the results I want to get? Why am I not getting the outcomes I want to get? And so beyond outcome, you're looking at the roots, you're looking at the cause. The moment you can identify it, you have to break patterns, break habits. Everybody who's not getting the kind of result, achieving peak performance, the result you're looking for, is a habit that you have that is wrong, that is limiting, that is holding you back. For example, your mindset, the way you view life, your paradigm about life, your perception about money, your beliefs can be limiting, and that will stop you from achieving outcomes. So you may need to go back and say, you know what? Am I thinking in a way, in a pattern that is limiting me? Because if you keep thinking the way you've always thought, you'll keep getting the result you've always got. All right? Or am I speaking in a pattern, that is limiting me? So go back, do that check, and then that can break you free. There are certain habits that you need to take out of your life. And I was talking to some people today in class, and I told them that habits make or break you. Habits make or mar you. You form your habits, and then your habits form you. And so it's very difficult to form habits, but when we do form habits, they begin to form us, to form our character, and the character that we form our destiny. So be careful about habits. And if you have any negative habits, it's very easy to break those habits, and I'll show them to you. One of the things you can easily do is to identify with what is called the 21 days habit forming principle. Now, if you're watching this in 2022, this day is December 1. I'm sure people will watch it tomorrow. People will watch it in a few years or so, a few months. So this day is December 1. You have between now and 21 days to break any limiting habit that you have. Any limiting habit, whatever it may be, you can break it. Any limiting habit that you have, you can break it. And that's how you do it. First of all, identify and isolate the habits. Let me use an example. Maybe it is smoking that is a habit that limits you. You just grow up developing habits, and you smoke it. It's not become something that is, problematic for you. How do you go away from smoking habits? You will notice that every habit requires an ecosystem, requires an environment to thrive, to be nurtured and to grow, and is triggered by this environment. So for somebody who smokes or drinks, for example, it could be his friends. So friends and certain company that come around you make you want to smoke or make you want to drink. So one of the ways to isolate that habit is to starve the habit of that company so that you're not always there. And once they're not there, it means that they cannot fuel the desire for that habit to come. That's one way. And in fact, that could just be the only way that can get you out of the habit, can gradually starve that habit, give you strength. Another way is to identify the desires, the urge. When the urge comes, whenever the urge comes for you to do that thing, okay, so you want to look out for another habit to replace it with. So we identify another habit that is equally as exciting to replace it. So in the case of smoking, every time you want to smoke, identify with another habit. Maybe it's carrots, or maybe it's chewing gum. It can be as simple as that. Chewing gum, you feel the desire to smoke. In place of smoking, you replace it with chewing gum. So simple like that. So every time you desire, at first, the brain will be thinking, this is not right. This is not what I should do. I should be smoking. But now you're saying chewing gum. You're training your brain to say, every time I want to smoke, let me chew gum. You keep chewing gum, or let me lick sweets, or let me take carrots. You get as many carrots as possible, as many chewing gum as possible, and then you chew aggressively. At a certain period of time, after 21 days, your brain will be conditioned to attach the desire of chewing gum to smoking. So every time you want to smoke, it will not become desire of chewing gum. It's a very powerful principle. It will help you break any habits, even smoking, that you think. So do that, and in a short while, in 21 days, we'll have developed a new habit of chewing gum instead of smoking. Try it and see how it works. So there are other patterns that you may have. Maybe when you watch your videos, and one of the things I tell people in the practice of public speaking is that do videos of yourself. Doing videos of yourself is a practice too. There are other practice tools like the mirror. The mirror helps you to check out your physiology, your body language, and how you use it to present. And an audio, like a recorder, helps you to check for your grammatical errors, helps you to check for the gap fillers put in your language, helps you to check for your repeated gaps, helps you check for your tonality, helps you to appreciate your voice. So you need to use a recorder and a mirror. Now the video camera helps to do all of that together. So when you do a lot of videos of yourself, okay, it helps you to practice better and also enables you to become aware of your public speaking patterns. And then that awareness enables you to find out how you can stop them and to improve, all right? Now, a better way to overcome, research has that one of the ways to overcome stage fright is to do live videos like this. The most of you don't have confidence in sharing your thoughts. You're not come to that point where you believe in your ideas enough to share them in public. And the social media is a public. So you come on a live video like this and just do a video, just share your thoughts and ideas. The more you do it, the more you have confidence, you develop that confidence, and that's good. So video doing can help you identify patterns in public speaking and then, of course, take them out. And if you say, okay, I'm not going to say this word in the next 3, 4, 5 videos I do, and that's how to improve and develop, great patterns. All right, so aside breaking limiting patterns, which is something you must be aware of, trust me, something you must be aware of. Another thing you want to do is that you want to utilize patterns. What does it mean to utilize patterns? To utilize patterns means to identify workable principles in the lives of people. Identify workable strategies in the lives of people. Strategy is beyond a plan. Strategy is a person. Identify a person who is achieving results in whatever it is you want to do, and then distill those ideas, distill those concepts, distill those principles, those strategies, articulate them, decode them, put them together, and try to utilize them over a period of time. The beautiful thing about this concept is that when you do it repeatedly, you would achieve the same results that you want to achieve. So start looking for patterns to utilize, patterns in business, patterns in leadership, patterns in spirituality. Everything is dependent on patterns. It's power. Identify habits that you can emulate. So that's the next thing you want to do, utilize patterns. The third and the final thing that will help you when discuss patterns is to, beyond utilizing, create patterns. And creating patterns is sometimes innate. There are certain things that you can come up with, just come up with and say, okay, for the next 50 years of my life, this is what I'm going to be doing. I have patterns I've created for myself, for my own benefit. You want to identify with patterns that align with your values, identify with patterns that are true, not principles, identify with concepts and strategies, and then make sure that you create them, and then have them over a period of time so that you come to life. So 3 things we've mentioned today about patterns, first of which is break limiting patterns. Break limiting patterns. Let me add something to break limiting patterns. I'm a life coach. I do a lot of coaching. And one of the things I have gotten myself to do a lot of times is to interrupt patterns. Because people are conscious of patterns and they subconsciously just do those things again and again. And I intervene in trying to help them, become better. I could interrupt those patterns. And a lot of strategies and things I do. And there's a concept called neuro-linguistic programming. It's a program that teaches you how to interrupt people's patterns. Because unless you interrupt their patterns, they truly would not find that freshness, that way to come and get new patterns, develop new patterns. So what I do is interrupt patterns a lot. And that's what you need to do. Some people can't even interrupt their own patterns. Maybe you need me to do a session with you. Maybe your live call, I could do video calls with you, Zoom class, and I help you interrupt certain patterns. We need to identify those patterns that you have and then break them. Do not undermine the power of patterns. Very important in your life and how they can move you forward or limit you. Some of you today, you are not where you're supposed to be because of patterns, right? So that's key. Now, interrupting patterns is key. Then we said number 2, utilize patterns. When you identify people, and that's why you need to have mentors. Now, identify with a mentor. Become a mentee of somebody. And to do that, you need to look up for somebody, and you can have mentors in different areas of your life. You can have a mentor for leadership. You can have a mentor for finance. You can have a mentor for business. You can have mentors in different parts of your life, different segments of your life that you follow judiciously. And the thing about mentorship, and I've told you many times that mentorship is a relationship. There has to be an interaction between you and them. Okay, so you know them, they know you. The name mentor was coined after somebody, an individual. This man used to, okay, there was a certain king who was traveling, his name was Ulysses. He was trying to travel, was traveling for war in a certain country, and was going to be traveling for 20 years, going to be fighting out for 20 years. But he had a son and a family, and he was living, he didn't want his kingdom to be left on, without a king. So he told his friend, his good friend, whose name was Mentor, to train and help his son to become, all that he's supposed to be, learn all the lessons of life, so that he can become a suitable king. And that mentor helped his son. So the thing about mentorship is that there is a relationship between you and that person. And maybe you need to look for someone who can be your public speaking mentor, who you know and knows you, and who guides and helps you, and who you can study carefully and identify his patterns and utilize his patterns to become better. Maybe you need a coach who can train you, who you will pay, train to help you to become better. Maybe you need to look out for role models. So utilizing mentors is identifying strategies that work from people who have capacities and then working with them. And finally, you need to create your own patterns. Wow. Become a creator of patterns. I'm around my office and I'm doing everything in my power to create patterns that enhance and empower me. So, break patterns, utilize patterns, and create patterns. There is a course and there's a video on public speaking errors and mistakes that I encourage you to get. It identifies the errors and the sins people commit when they speak in public. When you join our public speaking academy, Podium Dynamics Academy, we highlight all of these 14, 15, or 16 errors and patterns that are wrong and show you how you can identify them and stop them. All right? That's a very powerful class to take. There's also another thing that we do. In studying patterns, we also study audiences and the patterns of them. So we have a class that we call audience analysis. I want to encourage you to get that. This is our day one, and there will be 30 more days, okay? 30 more videos in this group. I'm also going to share the link of this group so you can invite your people to come learn everything they want to learn about public speaking. 30 days of quality information, not just around communication, around sales, around life, around peak performance to help you have a productive time. Now, know that at the end of this period, you have been equipped with enough information and tools that will help you for 2023. 2023 is around the corner. You need to start evaluating, you need to start taking stock, you need to start identifying what limited you this year and what things you need to identify with your study and develop as habits to make you have a better thing next year. Now, for some of you who asked for my offer, I have this great offer where I put together 47 videos on live lessons. And I also have 2 audios on sales. The first one is how to sell anything to anybody. Amazing audio that highlights over an hour, that highlights plenty things you need to know in order for you to convince people to do business with you. There's also another video on the selling templates that always works, that does not fail. Something that you need if you're an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur to help you to become a good salesperson. And for those of you who are interested in public speaking, there are a lot of audio materials there, from public speaking made easy to speech power, the audio and the ebook version, to public speaking mistakes, to how to open a presentation, to how to prepare a speech, to how to overcome stage fright, to how to interest in the audience, to persuasion in public speaking. Plenty of those audios in that same package. And then we also have ebooks on how to sell to Nigerians, sell like crazy, speech power ebook, and many other ebooks that will help you. You can print out or read, and they will help you to become the best you can be. You only make progress because of the lights available to you. Your flights will be guaranteed by the light that you have access to. Your height is guaranteed by the lights you have access to. Never stop learning. Never stop having information, whether you're a leader or a speaker. So these materials cost a lot of money. And I packaged them, and in the last 1 month, I've been giving them for 4,000 naira instead of 150,000 naira. Yes, I know it's outrageous, really, really outrageous. So Yesterday ended, the offer ended, but I've decided to extend it for one more week.